my name is Kelsey Schaefer, and this is my highlight video for my ePortfolio. I have been teaching for 8 years in the Seaman School District, all in kindergarten with 1 year in first grade. You can hear more about my education experience and then also different leadership activities I am a part of in my district, my building, and my community, all on my introduction video to my ePortfolio. I do really enjoy this screenshot of my introduction video because I talk with my hands a lot, so that's perfect. I have included my professional and personal goals. I think it's important to note 3 of my professional goals include getting experience in other grade levels other than kindergarten and first grade. I do love my little people, but I think it's important that I get experience in other grade levels. I also would like to participate more in district level leadership opportunities, so becoming a part of more district level organizations. And then also, eventually I would like to be an assistant principal and a building principal. My personal goals, 2 that are really important to me, are I've actually written 2 books, and I would like to get those published. And then I would also like to continue growing a scholarship fund that I created that helps students who are first generation college students. So I would like to kind of grow that more. Next, I'm going to move on to my philosophy of education. So to kind of summarize my philosophy of education, give some of the highlights, I do believe it's important to educate each child to their personal best. And everyone's personal best is a little bit different. I also think it's important to provide a loving, safe, and positive environment, not only for students, but for staff as well, somewhere where we all want to go. I believe a successful leader is a democratic leader who works with their staff to create and achieve a vision. And I believe a successful leader also adapts their leadership style based on who they're working with, so which staff member and how much experience that staff member has with that certain activity or that certain task. I would also believe that a successful leader provides lots of opportunities, learning opportunities for students and staff members. So making sure that we have professional development in place and just really encouraging people to seek those professional development opportunities as well. Lastly, I really truly believe in building strong, trusting relationships. I think that's one of my strong suits, and I think that it is so vital to the education experience for everybody involved. So I think it's important to have strong, trusting relationships with students, staff, families, and community members in order to have a great school and a great learning experience for everyone. Next on my program of study, you can see that I actually completed this program in a year. So I actually remember talking to Dr. Moody. Sorry about that. Speaking with Dr. Moody right before I began, and I said, how long will it take? And he said, as long as you want it to take. So I was actually started last June, and I had my last class in this June. And I've really learned a lot in each of these classes, and it's just amazing for me to go and look back at the things that I've done in each of the courses, and I can tell that I've grown a lot in each of the activities that I've done for the courses. And what would be really interesting to me is if I was able to go back and redo some of the activities that I did last June and redo them with the new vision that I have for school leadership, just to show how much I've grown. I think it might look a little bit different. It would be really interesting to do. I've also included my resume. So I've actually been getting ready to send this out to various places. It includes my professional experience. It also includes my district level activities, my building leadership roles, my education, my community involvement, and my references. I do have 4 of those references as well, and it's really helpful to have this resume in place, ready to go. Next, I'm actually going to move on to my activity log first. I think that that's really important to look at. I actually completed 36, or made note of 36 activities for over 150 hours. These experiences were really wonderful. A lot of my experiences, you'll see, were all involved with, not all, but some of my elementary ones were days when I was on the job. I was the principal in the building. My students loved it. They always said, Ms. Schaefer, are you the principal? So they loved it when I was out of the classroom but over the whole building. It was a little weird for them at first, but after I explained that not only do I get to take care of them, but I get to take care of everyone else in the building, they thought that was pretty special. I've learned a lot through a lot of my different activities. And to be quite honest, there's probably quite a few more activities that I did throughout the school year that I didn't even think about or consider to put on this just because it just has come so natural to me, and it's something that I'm always involved in. So I didn't even think about it being kind of a leadership task or activity. But I think that we all kind of do those things every day and don't even realize it. So I included lots of those different activities for the district, elementary, and secondary level. So now I'll go back to my elementary activities. I'm going to discuss my activities first and then go back to my bibliography. So for my elementary ones, I included some pictures of, without their faces, of the school where I work, and so where I was the principal on duty and was able to have some of my shadowing experiences and some of the students. I also included a picture from when I was observing my very first principal, Mr. Yeoman, at his school, Belinda Elementary. I've included pictures from our school walkathon, which is one of my activities on there. That is one of our major fundraisers for school, and I'm in charge of all that. And I'm really proud of it because a lot of people do walkathons, but I do this one all on our own so we can keep 100% of the profit, and this community and the school and the parents love it. So I included a picture of a pediatric dentist who came to visit our school, so that was involved in getting our community members into the building. I've also included the suicide intervention plan that we have in our district, and I thought it was really important to include that because there was a day where I did have 2 suicide threats, and I'll talk more about that later, but that experience in itself was completely life-changing. It really shifted my focus, and it was amazing how that one day was so mentally and physically and emotionally exhausting, just trying to figure out the right things to say and the right things to do in that situation. So that was a really good experience for me to have. Some of my links, I tried to upload the videos themselves, but I couldn't figure out how to get YouTube to show it in these nice little sections. Instead, it was trying to overload the whole page. So you'll see that I have links for a PBIS behavior video, which I've included in my activities. I did those for each of the expectation areas. I've also included some of my presentations I've created for some of my courses that I think are really helpful for my current school and then my future school. I am really a fan of my data analysis protocol. This is actually something that I've already shared with my building principal, and we've talked about implementing this next year for our staff. So I thought that that was a really great activity that I was able to do in the data analysis course. For my secondary activities, I was able to observe a lot of things that I never thought I would do. So I was able to see a drug test. Seaman does do random drug testing in their middle and high schools, so I was able to observe that take place. I've also included a couple of projects that I made for some of my classes that didn't really go with elementary school because we don't really pay for tickets in elementary school activities. And if we do, it goes through PTO, but I created something for staff of our Seaman district for the middle school and high school. I also included pictures from my experiences with the principals that I was shadowing. And this right here is one of my favorite things because Mr. Brown, he's an amazing guy. He's a great principal, and those kids at that school are so lucky to have him. He's at Pleasant Hill Learning Campus, which is our alternative high school. And this was just so funny to see because you can tell his mind is always working a million miles a minute. And it was just so good, so interesting to watch how his brain worked compared to maybe how my brain would work. And I just thought it was really important to have on there. And then I've also included Mrs. Diedrich, who was the principal at the middle school. District level, and I talked a little bit about this in my activities. I included again, these are presentations that I created, but I couldn't get the YouTube video to open appropriately, so I have included the link. I thought it was important to include some of the things that I created for classes, however, I didn't count towards my activities, including a breakdown of the educational leaders in our district and also the communication that we use district-wide. I did share pictures of Stuff the Bus. This was our first year doing Stuff the Bus, and that was something that I did with my time. I included a picture of a sign that I designed, created, and had installed, and I believe this is a district level activity because I had to work with several of the district level people in order to get this taken care of. So the director of business, the director of maintenance, the director of media relations, in order to figure out how to get this sign taken care of. And I have to tell you, my biggest fear was that this sign would be defaced in some way. And still 10 minutes later, knock on wood, nothing has happened to it. It's still in great shape, and it's an easy reference for the students and teachers outside. Everybody enjoys it. And then I have pictures from the board meeting that I went to, and then also the community conversation, which took place after we had kind of an issue in our school district with sexting. Okay, I'll go back to my annotated bibliography. So, not quite sure why that did that. I have that saved. My annotated bibliography, what I really enjoyed about these articles that I picked, they all had something to do that tied in with my philosophy. So I have some articles in here that touched base with students with special needs, being goal-oriented and achieving those goals, and then also the power of relationships. And I included some books in here, and actually, if you haven't read it yet, my favorite is the Ron Clark book. Because he is so wonderful, and I'm not sure if you've read other of his books, but Move Your Bus, it's one of my favorite books. I feel like it's really a great book for leaders of any kind to read, because we all have 4 different types of workers in our buildings or our businesses, and he kind of touches base on each of those workers and people on your bus and how to get them moving. Some of these books I did love, and actually the Move Your Bus, my principal and I kind of read that. She read her own and I read my own, and then we kind of talked about it after, so that was a really fun activity to do. I am also including my administrator evaluation. So Mrs. Wade did an excellent job. She was an excellent administrator for me. This was her first year as a building level principal, and she did a really nice job of helping guide me. And I've known her previously from teaching summer school. She was a summer school principal, but she did a really great job of guiding me and providing me with opportunities to have time with her, or time being in charge of the school, or time to do things that a principal would do. And she was not hesitant to ask me for help either. So she was wonderful. My reflection, really, I tried to address the standards, each of the 6 standards, and how I address them in my classes and in my practicum experiences. But I really like to take a look quickly at the reflection stage before I run out of time. In the exploration stage, I noticed that I was feeling a little bit overwhelmed at the beginning. When I first started this program, it was a different feeling for me. It takes a lot for me to get overwhelmed. It was maybe a fear of the unknown, and not having someone directly there to ask for help, but having, to email people and use technology instead of having someone right next to you. I think I really like to talk, and I like to talk to people who are right there. But I was able to get reassurance from my building level principal, from Tammy, and she was wonderful, and she reminded me that, Kelsey, you're already doing a lot of these things. So that was really good to hear. In my explanation stage, I continued my relationship with Mrs. Wade, but I felt like I wanted more. I felt like I could have been doing more. I felt like I could have taken on more in the fall. And I had a shift in thinking. I noticed that I was thinking more like an administrator and less like a teacher. And I think that other people noticed that as well. So for my conjecture stage, my question was actually, how can I develop into the kind of principal I want to be, not the kind of leader that I think I am? So I really thought that I was a participative, democratic leader, but truth is, when I was looking at it honestly, I was not. I was still needed that control. And so through my analysis stage, I noticed that there were a lot of things that happened out of my control, and things where I wasn't able to complete tasks all by myself. So I had to ask for help, and I had no choice but to do it. And so it kind of happened naturally for me to kind of shift my leadership style to the more of a democratic leadership style. And then in my synthesis stage, I noted that becoming a principal doesn't really happen overnight or from completing coursework. It develops over time and never stops growing. And each day I just hope to be a better leader than I was before. Thank you.